record. And yeah, interesting. Without the screen, it's weird to look that way. Okay, today we kind of start off with really analyzing the strategies for the simulation game that we are kind of working towards. So we kind of shift from our initial, you may remember we had the two models, one being the theoretic model of the planned strategic change, yeah, or strategy, and then the emergent strategy as a second model. So today we really start to look at it a little bit at managing strategic change. So this is often how you start. So you have a company when you come into it. You may start your own company. Then it's slightly different. Then you're in the novel position of putting your initial strategy out there. But often when you are in a company, you deal with changes. And that is really what we want to cover today. So just to get us started, I wanted to kind of give you a little quote. And this is, change has a considerable psychological impact on the human mind. To the fearful, it's threatening because it means things may get worse. To the hopeful, it is encouraging because things may get better. To the confident, it's inspiring because the challenge exists to make things better. So it's actually a political plea if you think about it. But it kind of summarizes a little bit what you on the interface will often deal with as a project manager. So a very powerful quote. So just to give you a little bit of an agenda, we start off by definitions of strategic change, why strategic change is important, then setting the scene. We look a little bit at the organization. And this is particularly important because who knows what kind of organizations do we operate in projects? Is it a static organization, plan, set up? That's it? Dynamic, yeah. Temporarily often. If it's just for the one project, you may come together in a one-off. Yeah, so there's a start and end to your organization, and it brings dynamics. But it's more powerful to really think about organization first to actually understand the dynamics. And then, as I said, the dynamics are impact of change, triggers of change, and responses to change. Again, this is kind of at the conceptual level. Once you go into the hard empiry, you will see there are wonderful hybrids that can come out of that. Then rate and scale of change is very important too. So timing does matter. Yeah. So the quicker you do it, what are implications? People feel maybe out of control, but we will look into that. And then we go back into the series and select from the kind of models that we have discussed before a few tools that we can use to actually manage strategic change. So you remember the past 3 weeks where we had this bulk of theory. This is what we now make sense of. Yeah? And then, diagnosing change again, same series basically. And then developing strategic change programs. And we look a little bit at behavioral change, because this comes very often along with it. As a project manager, you have to understand who you are informing, who you want to kind of influence. What's the difference? Who do we want to influence? Who do we want to inform? What do you think? As a strategic project manager, what do you think?
You need to influence and inform, but for different reasons and in different slants.
Yes.
The stakeholder, the employees.
Yeah. So and at what level? So what would be a good dichotomy to think of it? Think of your family. Yeah. Maybe. Oh, this is a controversial example again. Yeah. But imagine the weekend is coming, and you want to kind of have a dinner table discussion what you can do on the weekend. So what are we doing? Influencing or informing?
Informing, but you can influence with the style of information you give, because you only give them options and you sell one option more than the other, the one you prefer to do.
Yeah, okay, but here we are still on the informing side, to come a little bit in a dichotomy. You're quite right, there's agenda power, agenda setting power in it. But you would inform at the committee, where you decide together as a family. But now the options are clear, And now it becomes clear somebody is a decision maker. Yeah? It's unfortunately not a committee that is based on democracy around the dinner table, but maybe one individual at your dinner table is a decision maker. Now, this is where you may want to influence, yeah? Where when you notice it's out of your hands to make the decision, but you see as well a clear benefit in one, then you are basically influencing as well branded in some movies in a bad way, but you should basically make a strong plea, yeah, why maybe your option is worthwhile considering more strongly than just on an equal basis of all the options that are available. Does that make sense? Yeah? Okay, so this is the behavioral change, the dark art thing, yeah? I shouldn't even say that, but yeah.
They also say the behavioural change, there's no real sort of, I suppose there'd be theories about it, but there's no real guidelines on how to do that, is it?
Yeah, there are dark guidelines, but this is when you're interested in history of ideas and power of influence. So here you have some of the classics like Machiavelli, Michel Foucault. They talk all about it.
I think what Chris means is you never get the same scenario and the same people involved.
Oh,
yeah, you can't
no.
use the same
So this
is
analytics, yeah, and you can then play different strategies, yeah. But conceptually, the for example the gender setting that we set is a classical method of doing it. If you propose like this super idea for the weekend, it's very likely everybody's like, yay, let's do that. Yeah. Whereas if you sell it kind of as one option, what are your options? Then you may have not so much agenda setting power. So there's a certain, but those are already tactics. Okay, let's get started with that. Actually, we don't look into that in that much detail. But if you're interested in it, I have wonderful reading for it. So come to me and we can map out a little bit literature, and that's it. Now, first of all, this was supposed to come up. I haven't set it up the right way. Okay, so if you would have to define change, maybe don't read them all. What would you define change as? And then you see my suggestions there already, but you have probably better ones anyway. How would you define change?
A change to a normal, I suppose a change to a normal, I won't say a routine, but in some cases a change to a base scope of work, an addition or a removal, same as a risk, that's a change or potential change.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously your working conditions as well. If you change in something like from a 40 hour week to a 45 hour week, it's a change of your normal usual.
Yeah, I was going to say it's something that alters the normal activity.
Yeah, you have already the kind of recipe together. Yeah? So there's a status quo where we are used to doing something maybe in a normal way. Yeah, maybe it's a routine, maybe it's our habitus, if you look at the individual. So routines can be as well working with others together in a company setting. And then we have the individual that may have a habitus, how we like to do things. Yeah? And in the most personal matter, it's for have a look how you do breakfast. Normally there's a certain observation, that there's a certain habit behind it. Maybe. It depends how varied your habits are. So you may cook like over 2 weeks every day a different breakfast, but every 2 weeks it may repeat. This is the idea. So a radical change would be now to do something completely different. But this, never mind, you get the idea. Other ideas? I have a few here. So the difference between one situation and the next over time. So there's as well a recognition that time matters. If you just look, no, I shouldn't go too deep with that. So the time emphasis is quite important. Then the other one, trying different things. So this can be as well a notion of change. An alteration. Alteration to things that you're doing. So this may be something, again, if you think personally about your habitus radius, with your new mobile, you may touch the world now different with your mobile. Yeah? Before you were used to your keyboard, now you have a touch screen or something like that. That could be an example. Then it could be as well breaking the rules. Yeah? So norms are as well often Yeah, if you describe it sociologically or in a social context, you will see norms, and it's normally the accepted behavior you would expect from the people around you. So by not complying to this behavior, you would have as well a kind of a rule breaking, a very soft one. If you do it repeatedly, you're normally, it gets pointed out to you quite quickly. A change can be as well a strategy. So you evaluate your conditions in a project, and you realize, actually, we cannot achieve our targets or goals that we have set out. We have to go with a different way to actually achieve our targets. So this may be as well a notion. Then other ones, innovation, uncertainty, maybe risk even. So that there's a difference between uncertainty and risk. I hope you. So there are the uncertains, and then there are the certain risks, where we are uncertain it will happen, but we know that risk exists. So then a new direction as well, and
A new direction.
Oh, for example, we have decided, actually, as a case example of a company that was focused on products, and you may now decide you want to do the service too. You have noticed this is very profitable. So, or it could be as well product-based, project organization-based. So before you focused on the whole project lifecycle, but you have noticed you are really good in design. So you may go in the front end. Does that make sense? Yeah. And then you have as well improvement, and development. But we have a look deeper into those.
You've mentioned over time twice now, but you haven't actually stated whether time is, shortness of time is, to me, would be a negative.
But we have a look at it. So it has pros and cons, and I mean, we are in the age of acceleration. This is fabulous. I don't know how often you check your bank account, but in companies, we have to make a statement, normally quarterly, to our stakeholders. If you work in a big shareholder company, they are not patient enough with that. They look on the stock market index on a daily basis probably. Actually, normally the traders look on it pretty much every minute and then speculate against it. Certainly there's a time, but we are in the time of acceleration, so there's maybe something to be learned about that. Okay, now the official book definitions, and they are coming here from Lynch. Actually, they are not from Lynch. So in the Lynch book, you will see these come actually from other papers. But strategic change is a proactive management of change in organization to achieve clearly identified strategic objectives. Now here you can see that there's probably already an overemphasis here of the plan side, so we need a little bit on the merging side as well. So another one would be strategic change is not just a causal drift through time, but a proactive search for new ways of working which everyone will be required to adapt to. Okay. But you get the idea. So it can come as well from the project level. It can be even like kind of a technician that realizes, hey, why do we do this? Why don't we improve it? So and this may have a knock-on effect. A famous example for the technician was a small company that did a kind of cycling tubes. It's a rubber thing you kind of blow up in the tire of a bike or car. And they kind of had specialized one department on making the valve actually for it. And it took them ages to figure it out, and they hadn't changed it over 20 years. And they had really trouble competing on the tube market because their rubber costs were incredibly high, as it turned out later. But at one point, the medical sector approached them and asked, hey, we know you make pressure valves. Can you work with different pressure valves and manufacture those valves? Hello, join us. And basically, one of the technicians was like, yes, I have been thinking about this problem for 20 years. It's this and this. So they started just making the valves for medical application. And before it was a 9-penny product per tube. And it shifted to selling the same product with slight modification for hundreds of pounds for the medical pressure devices. So it turned out to be enormous profitable. The company basically closed down the tube making because the rubber stuff was too expensive. They become specialists in tube valves and tubes for industrial application. And they sold it as well to the other rubber companies because their tubes were so much better. Okay. Too much insight probably on that case, but never mind. Exciting case. Yeah. So what I'm saying is strategic change can come from everywhere. Never forget about that. There's that perception once you're in control of a company that you should have all the good ideas, but you lose out on everybody else's ideas. Yeah? So it's a bad idea to be too controlling there. So this strategic change involves the implementation of new strategies that involve substantive changes beyond the normal routines of the organization. So this was really what we had already before kind of defined. Now, why is change important? This is not coming from me. This is from the book. I would not say things like that. But it's written to be better. Yeah? You want to. So this is a competitive action. You want to be better than your competitors or your neighboring company, the shop next door, down the road. And society is as well dynamic. So there is an impulse of products and services may needing a new spin, or you may want to do something new. You may want to surround yourself with other stuff or other events. Yeah? So the most drastic one, and this comes back to the competitive spin, is to survive. Yeah? So as a business, this is to say you have a profitable business model and you generate the profit. So this is kind of the basis of our playground. If we run our business consistently in a non-profit-making manner, we may have to basically close it down. To achieve specific goals, to improve and compete, to grow, this is often what you have to indicate as well in your business model. I had a session recently where I analyzed the universities in the Northeast, and how can a charity trust grow? Yeah? And so there was this dispute with young, what do you call it? Academic management, I suppose. So it's people that want to learn how to do kind of project and portfolio management in universities. So there were people from Durham University, Newcastle, Northumbria, Sunderland, Middlesbrough, TSA. Yeah. And we had this discussion, how can a university, how can a charity trust grow? Yeah, so you are not supposed to generate profit, and if you have surplus income, you reinvest it, of course, to have the best for students, for research, for society. So it's very noble things. But at the same time, you can reinvest in the assets. So you will see that Northumbria and Newcastle buy a lot of land, and buildings. So this is their strategy. So growing is maybe still an emphasis, even for a charity, for third sector. To outreach, to get your idea out there as a third sector company, and to increase profit. Well, again, this is this is an interesting one. So here's the difference between increasing profit. Some do it by percentage. Some want to increase even the margin. Yeah, so this is interesting. There are differences here, and they have implications. Now, let's break that maybe a little bit down. First of all, the official definitions really come from Price and Shahari. Those are the guys that research as well in my area, organizational sciences and organizational studies. So all organizations need to change and develop if they are to remain competitive and satisfy clients' ever-increasing expectations. Now, this is a kind of competitive setting, which we kind of invented, when I say we, it's kind of an American and English invention around the 1860s. We recognized that a lot of shopkeepers or owners, they kind of started their shop, they had their local supplies, and they just produced for that. They had no reason of growing. I mean, if it was a bigger, if somebody would move in the village too, they would like, okay, do you want my product too? Do you like it? And then they would make one product more. So this was very gradual growth, if growth at all. People died. It's like new people come, some die. It's the way of life. Yeah, so the idea at the time was like, hey, those are so like narrow marketplaces. How about we let them compete on a grander scale? We kind of list in a book what products are around in the region. And then we have people that pick it up and bring it to the customer. Yeah. Now this was exciting, but again, the shop owner was like, hey, why would I produce more? I like my clients. I like to talk with them. So why would I do this? Now that was where the idea of competition as a threat was basically born. And that was kind of the first principle. Yeah. So it was an enemy picture in other kind of shop owners that were doing similar things. And that is really where the competition comes from. Yeah, it's a very old concept, but it has remained in a lot of our societal setup. And if you look at policies or law, you will see a strong reflection in that. Yeah, it's about protecting yourself. Yeah, and but nonetheless, it has as well the trigger of motivating, to just have a little bit spare, to grow. So that is really where that comes from. But again, too much detail probably on that. Then you have as well the strategic change. Yeah, here is aligned with organizations with vision, mission, aims, goals, enabling the organization to evolve and prevent stagnation and complacency. Yeah. So again, there are wonderful examples for that. So you basically look out for what the environment is doing, that you don't bet all your existence on one resource that may run out. Yeah? On a service that maybe is no longer needed. And then organizations are attempting to recreate themselves and move from traditional structure to a dynamic new model where people can contribute their creativity, energy, and foresight in return for being nurtured, developed, and enthused. Now, this is from 1996. I have to say this is still an ideal that we are striving towards, but there are conflicting notions between this and this. Yeah? So the competition can actually create as well inner organizational competition. Project managers are normally on the safe side. I was just telling you about this. I had a meeting on organizational capacity where we look at competences. Now, project managers and managerial staff are very well trained, but you can actually see that companies often have that as well as a cost-cutting potential. Yeah? So often there's a very clear justification in a lot of companies of having to justify your nurturing or being nurtured, developing and enthused against the vision, mission, aim, and goals. Yeah? Some companies take that very traditional and are doing the minimal. Yeah? Other companies like Google, I recommend go to the headquarters in London, for example. Yeah? Actually, I'm going there for a conference on the 16th of April, so if you're around, pop along. I get you in too. And you will see there's food for free, and there's I just go there for ping pong and table football really. But I'm joking, it's a conference too. But it's a very interesting environment, and they try to kind of create a culture where you can live the lifestyle you kind of admire to live. Yeah? But again, this is very nurturing. Yeah? This is you create your own culture, your company culture. Yeah? Then you talk more about visions, not so much mission and aims and goals. This is not so important anymore. You kind of comply to the culture. The vision and values, yeah, are kind of compulsory. Yeah? So it's as well quite powerful. Yeah? Okay. Now then, if you look at the organizations, we have to make, of course, sense of an organization. You have on one side individuals and groups interact with a formal structure. So a structure is created by management to establish relationships between individuals and groups, to provide order and systems, and to direct efforts to carry out goal-seeking activities. Now Mullins really wrote this in 2005, already in mind with a business company. Yeah, so an organization is, for example, as well a family. And it's a random grouping where you kind of relate to each other. This is the most simple form. Yeah? So for example, by geography, you can be as well kind of an organization. If you share the same road, and you clean up the rubbish that flew out of a window from a neighbor, yeah, and you think like, oh, no, I don't like rubbish on the road. Pick it up, yeah, there's your organization. Yeah? So it's as well an emergent thing between random groups of individuals. Yeah. Now, with this came, of course, as well from Buchan. It was really, I can't even say it properly. Hosinski's idea, and Buchan came in later. They wrote like a series on organizational behavior. And they kind of gave it a little bit more different spin, where you see the softness as well. And that is very important for us as project managers, because we deal as well with the interface of our team or the stakeholders with the psychology. So here an organization is a social arrangement for achieving controlled performance in pursuit of a collective goal or goals. Yeah, so they noticed already that participation in an organization may be for completely different reasons. Yeah, so think about what is a wonderful project to think of. So imagine we have like a cultural event here in the student union. People may participate for different reasons. I think cultural exchange is exciting, yeah, but some people may think it's a good hour spent like having wonderful foods. So there may be different aspirations why you participate in it. I hope that makes sense. Yeah, if you think of a company, yeah, you may want to be the architect on this wonderful building, but the contractor may think that this is a good job to pay his rent. Yeah, or house bill, whatever. Yeah, so there may be different aspects here. With this comes as well. The people performing the task often have as well in this pursuit of collective goals a decision power. So they are the ones that are making the decisions, pushing the buttons, and communicating. Yeah, so this is important to recognize as well. Yeah. So even if you are the project manager, you are probably not pushing the buttons, and you may facilitate communication and you encourage, hey, talk to each other, this is important, so you know what you're actually doing. But you probably don't start building the bricks or starting to assemble the car yourself. I mean, I like doing stuff like that, but this is not the typical description of the project manager, all I'm saying. Yeah? I hope that makes sense.
Because if he's doing that, he's not doing his job.
Yes, but it's sometimes so exciting, you know. It's okay. Nobody is spot on, of course. Yeah?
That's where a lot of people fail, I think.
Yeah, letting go. Actually, this is a good point. Yeah, let the people. If you have technicians on your team, it's good to ask questions, but don't do their job, or don't presuppose their job either. Yeah, so it gives the people the chance to do their job. Very good point. Yeah, otherwise it's very dangerous.
I think it's right. I think in some cases you've got it's a fine line, because if you don't sort of, in some cases if you don't get involved, you tend sometimes not to get stuff done. So I think sometimes you've got to be a bit proactive and not do the job for them, but sort of have sort of motivation and get involved and sort of get them to the table and enjoy what they're doing.
Don't undermine them by trying to do it for them.
No, that's right. It's a fine line. It's a fine line as well.
Yeah, and the particular, I mean, this is kind of a dark history of project management. Especially if you come out of a particular technical trade, then you want to normally see a lead in this particular trade, and you kind of, by definition, kind of deprives the other roles that are in your team too. And it can be very dangerous, because all your team members are very likely to thrive in their own disciplines that they identify with. And this is actually the next definition that we're coming to, identification with the job that you are doing. And as a project manager, you try, of course, to bring it functionally together. So it may be the reminder, as you're saying, for the technician, hey, don't worry, we are not trying to invent here the new technology in that area. It's kind of the product we're after. Yeah. So sometimes it is inventing the new technology, though. Yeah. But it depends on your remit of your project. That is kind of the key element. But super comment, yeah, thank you. Now with this, especially the socially constructed elements of organization, Morgan really kind of brought it a little bit further and pointed out that organizations are created by the individual members or kind of people that are around. Yeah? And with this came the following definitions. Organizations are socially constructed realities, and that rather than being defined by their structures, rules and regulations, they are constructed as much in the heads and minds of their members and are strongly related to members' self-concept and identity. Now here lies the big crux. So we bring as well from previous systems or exposure our own rules and regulations along, by which we live. Those may be norms, those may be things we figured out with our sibling, when we were kind of sitting over something, we found cake, I found the cake, but he's there too, so does he get now a quarter, or do we halve the cake? So things like that, you may evaluate that, and you may assume that those rules are kind of guiding principles, and you may find out they are not, but it's our kind of, socially constructed realities, if you want. So it's very, very powerful. So this is actually something that Morgan recognized as organizational culture. So this means as well, as a project manager, you are always in a situation where people bring along their own beliefs and their own identity characters, but at the same time, you actually create a new organizational culture. If you work on a multidisciplinary international project, you will see that there are weird cultures that you shouldn't really talk about. I mean, I've worked in, maybe not too extreme examples, but you may have special handshakes that are not considered normal where you may come from. But it's okay for the team. So there's as well a little bit an ethical statement, you have to make it work. So don't compromise on your rules and regulations too much that you are out of comfort. This is not the point. It's about creating a culture that you all can thrive on. Organizational culture. And with this come as well preferences, of course. So it's a very powerful concept. Now, I have a wonderful, later on I have the model unpacked. So when you look at something where you arrive kind of at the organization as a system, and this is a fun thing to do actually, I wonder, should we do that maybe this seminar? It's design a system of describing how to make a toast. Once you have understood that, you are kind of a half-made system engineer. It's basically looking at how you do that and how you converse that. This is a key element actually to our problems. Maybe this is a fun activity for the seminar. We should probably do that. On one side of the system, so a system is something that kind of where you put something in and it kind of processes the system with its components. And you have an output as well, which you see here. So to talk you through it, inputs are traditionally associated with materials and resources, and then you come to the system. So I read you quickly through it. The elements of a formal subsystem includes formal subsystem is this one? Includes the organization's strategy, whether this is devised by a single person, as in a small organization, or by a board of directors in a large. Or even entrepreneurs, if you do business with your friends, you have a network, you may all have your inputs, and you arrive at like a setting. A particular project, when you have a network, you try to harvest resources. You may work with other companies, you may work with a friend, then this will be an element where you arrive at a strategy. Other components include the organization's goals and the means of achieving these through operational activities such as the production of goods or provision of services. So again, in our network, one of your friends says maybe, hey, I'm really good in accounting, and hey, I have the network with the banks. And you say like, oh, I know how, I have a 3D print, I got it to Christmas, I know how to print, and you have a friend that is really good in design, and you decide to do wonderful toothbrushes, for example. Okay, that was badly improvised. But you get the idea. And then you have like a business network. So this would kind of be the idea. In addition, there is a service component, which is that set of activities which help and facilitate the cooperation activities to happen. So you may go all to the makers fair to advertise. So this is another network thing. Yeah, but again, it comes back to the initial. So this would be marketing now, if you want. Yeah. Then examples that you can have then as well. So personal department in a small network like that, maybe the guy with the idea. Yeah, he would say like, okay, I cannot do this. You work so much, and I should give you money. Then we pointed out already accountancy and finance maybe as another one. And information technology services. You may go for free with something like Google Chat and the Google package, yeah, or you may use your mobile provider, something like that. And clerical and administrative support, but it can be as well like very sophisticated kind of research and design laboratories, engineering department, and so forth. Yeah, you get that. Yeah, so this would be kind of the formal subsystems, so technologies as well. Yeah? So if you have a machine that can press something or melt something, this would be part of it. Yeah? Now then, we have as well the more intangible elements, and what is important to recognize is you see here the overlap. Now, your working condition, your environment, form as well kind of your behavior. So I give a very abstruse example. And many people will hate me for that. So has anybody been to a paper mill? Paper? Newspaper agent? No? You will notice if you're in a factory, people do start shouting at each other, mostly to do with the noise. Yeah, so it does change kind of how you're interacting. If you want to ask, hey, do you want a coffee? It's basically shouting. Coffee and sign language, something like that. It looks like he wants to go for drinks in a bar or something, but it's a coffee sign. Yeah? So if you are not familiar with this, you think like, what are they doing? Yeah, this is what I'm saying. So, and that is kind of the interlink here. So let's have a look at that. The informal subsystems are relatively stable subsystems, and elements of organizational functioning interact with each other in some kind of transformation process. So you change technology, you make, for example, this loud process quiet, you will see this shouting may not actually exist anymore, but weird hand signs may survive. Yeah? Because this is kind of how you have grown. Yeah? This is like your past way of communicating. Are you with me? Now for new people that come into your company, have never experienced a loud environment, they're like, what is the whole hand signing business going here? And they will be like, in the past it was not. That will not make sense necessarily. Yeah? But we observe it then as well as culture, and maybe politics. Yeah? People may be uncomfortable to work too close to the machines because they have past associations with it. Yeah? And then that tells you as well often there's as well an implicit leadership style if you haven't decided on that before. Yeah? So these outputs can be then thought of as a legitimate reason for organization's existence, and output that is relevant in particular to the informal subsystem in employees' behavior and the satisfaction with the jobs. So in another way, these two complement each other, or influence each other. This is why we say it's a subsystem. Actually, we have abandoned more recently the system theory, and we look more at practice, but it's the same idea. Yeah? So for our means, we are actually not touching on the kind of gritty parts where it gets kind of complicated. But with the material and resources that we are processing in the formal subsystem and our informal subsystem, how we communicate, converse, organize, brings out organizational goal achievement, hopefully as well our products or services we are trying to do. But at the same point, it has a lot to do with employee satisfaction. And this is well, I'll tell you quickly why this module is outdated. We don't really look at satisfaction anymore because there are issues with this. So we look kind of at the life of people. So we look at what their practice is made of. Is it a life that they are aspiring to live? Is it healthy? So there are other factors. Or does it harm your physical fitness or your mental fitness? You come out and have to shout for 2 hours before you get normal again. That's also a bad example. Or you just smile, and everybody's like, oh, he's again smiling for his 2 hours. People are generally annoyed with you. So it can be anything. This is kind of what I mean. So when it comes to life. Well, the model is really to have kind of a happiness state, and happiness was here created as life-work balance combined with health attributes. Now, this is the current model that we have. So if you search this, you would see there's a little bit other output. But yeah, this is again very detailed insight to this. Yeah. Now, with this, we have as well different operation types of organizations in different environments as well. And I suppose the one that we are probably familiar with, or not familiar with, we are often in hybrids in projects, isn't it? So we often have our company that we actually work for, and then we have these other organizations that we are participating in, which is interesting. And that is a temporal environment. Well, what does temporal stand for? Does anybody know? Yeah, take guesses.
Even sort of highs and lows, but generally steady.
Oh, you think of temperature. Yeah, it's a temporal. What?
It's I was thinking more about a temporary environment.
Yeah. That's so temporal is a time indication, a duration. Yeah, so it's not made to last forever. But here you see already the ambiguity. You know, many companies are set up forever, but normally they are not there forever. They change. If you then take over the old company, you may want a new name or want to give it yours, something like that. Yeah? Generally thought to be, generally through the cycles of industry-based innovation, historical developments bringing change over time. This is actually not fully. So this theory is a very popular one, and we have actually falsified it kind of 6 years ago. But as an idea, it's good. So you see basically that company environments kind of shift over time, but we have seen as well that some companies' environment have been very steady over hundreds of years, and we don't seem to change their environment for some reason. But through the life cycle of an organization itself, you have as well that. Yeah? So you may start off with a product that you really like, and then you think like, hey, how about we make this a lovely service? Yeah, and then you may change. You get the idea. Yeah. So there's as well something about shifting it about. Now then we have as well. Then we have as well the external environment emphasis. So here this is a model that we had already. We had a little bit more sophisticated pestle, you remember? So I have a little pest analysis as an example in a second. So and normally we have as well notions as globalization and concern of physical environment now. Is that what is globalization for you? This is a big question for me.
It means, I take it to mean is that a company can have dealings with other organisations throughout the world. So you're dealing with different countries, different cultures, different methods, systems. Yeah. In general, it's just the expansion across a wider area. And
how would that knock on what we are doing? So we have now decided to go from Newcastle as well to, where shall we go? Tahiti. I like Tahiti. So what would we find there?
It's understanding the culture they have down there, what sort of working conditions they have, what sort of working methods they have, what sort of procedures and things they have in place, the skills, yeah.
So we go there now to sell our 3D printed toothbrush, yeah? And we say, hey, how do you like our toothbrush? And they say like, hey, if you want to kind of have a market here, then you have to 3D print it here. Yeah, so this could be then an agreement. So we ask my grandma to give me for next Christmas another 3D printer, and then we fly over, set it up there in a little bureau, yeah, and then start printing there as well the toothbrushes, right? So this is a good starting point. But then we need somebody to run it there too, yeah? And they may just print in the morning because they like to go. Sunbathing. In my mind, yeah, exactly. They're sunbathing and surfing. No, but this is wrong. This is very wrong. Yeah, so they may decide to have it in a particular day. Yeah, and yeah, exactly. Family life. Yeah, they have already the wonderful balance. Yeah, So they have decided it's kind of between breakfast and bringing the children to school. Then they have kind of 2 hours to print the toothbrushes, sell them quickly, mostly to tourists as well. And then, so that could be a dynamic. Yeah. And then you have implications, so you would have communication only in those hours probably from the Tahiti office. Yeah? So this would be kind of the interpoint. But globalization is normally as well associated with accepting that we kind of take certain rules and expectations down, because we think it's too high. But this is actually missing the point. That's a political process. As a project manager, you should make sure that you don't miss, based on some high agenda, the rules and values of your team. Because then you have consistently conflict in your team. Does that make sense? And you have to come up with a resolution system then. Yeah? So if conflict A hits us, what's the way forward? How do we decide? Do we vote democratically? But it's a no-go zone for one of our team members. This is very bad. Yeah? Don't worry, I don't expect answers. We come to that later. Yeah? But all I'm saying, globalization is often used as a theme, to neutralize. Oh, this is how we are now a global company. You can no longer bring your children to school. What? No, wait, this is important to me. Yeah? Something like that. So then we have as well physical environment. This has been as well replaced a little bit by the sustainability agenda. So it's not just actually physical, it's a triple bottom line, social and so forth. You will, if you don't know what it is, don't worry, we will have it next semester. Yeah. If you did it last semester and you don't know, then you have to read up. Okay. Now the last one is internal environment. Here you have the and first in the line the response to changes in external and temporal environment. So there's expectation that we change, but there are all kinds of different ways of doing this. Yeah? So this is actually quite interesting. We have as well a little bit grander schemes, historical context for change, often to do with politics, and what different groupings want and what they don't like on the others. Now there's a colleague of us is doing mathematics, complexity theory, and she has done for a dating web page to match people, and she can predict if the date goes well or not. She's very accurate. So if you want to test, go to her. She can give you the prediction. Now the funny thing is the algorithm is as well very good to kind of figure out if countries are in conflict or not. It's a little bit like a relationship too. So it's the same factors that she's using, which is still tickling me. Yeah. So anyway, unnecessary information but entertaining. Yeah? So historic context is a little bit broader. Organizations are in the main a product of the history. Yeah? So this is the past experiences as well, and the environment you were in, of course. Yeah. This is why it's important to understand the environment that influences the way in which organizations operate today. Yeah? Be aware. Sometimes we don't have the insight, especially if you're new in an organization. You may not have experienced the past, but you get the indicators. Yeah? You get the feedback from the people around you. However, the concept of organizations as an open system implies that these systems are permeable, and therefore the organization strategy are open to both historical and contemporary environment demands, opportunities, and constraints. So this is quite formally expressed, but as a project manager, make the effort, get your team to know, understand, what are no-go zones, that you don't fall into that when it really matters. Yeah. And vice versa, what are the go zones? Yeah? So where does it really work? What is really kind of making them thrive as a team? Yeah?
Just on a quick question.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know, with regards sort of like the environment for the staff and for the employees, do you think that project managers now really take that into account when they're considering change, or do you think it's just because we've got government legislation? Because if you go back 100 years, it was like, you work all the hours under the sun. And
so this is a little bit what we discussed when I came in early. Yeah. I just spoke to a representative from the clients of the construction industry and like main contractors of the construction industry in the UK. And what is interesting is we have now so much innovation and technology advancement, which kind of requires people to develop, understand new technologies, and have a wider remit. And because in construction it was pretty much that you stuck to old way of doing it and like just price it out on the cheapest way possible, and then that was all about efficiency, performance of the team. Yeah? So you would basically drive it through. Now this has been now replaced. The technologies are so much better that anybody that invests a little bit kind of outperforms. So even those industries, you have now this theme emerging, and that is why I gave the talk, just to 2 people sadly, but nonetheless, two people. The interesting thing is, in other industries we have that already. Yeah, so if you look, pharmacy is a good example, or as well as science. You have highly motivated individual specialists, and if you don't let the specialist contribute, or you impose, actually we have that as well as a problem. Yeah? We have mentoring schemes for professors that have research teams where they want to dominate the agenda, and they are not up to date on certain aspects, because that is why you have a specialist, why you have that new doctor from somewhere around the world, that kind of comes in with their expertise. But it's maybe they are not expressing strong enough their ideas. That they're used to a culture where you ask for information. Then it's very dangerous in a team. As a professor, as a research leader, is not aware of that. And then you miss it out. And you may miss a team member. If they are asked, like, hey, do you want to be on the next project? No, I've applied for other proposals. Sorry, but I'm already busy. Sorry. This is normally how you see that then. Yeah. So it's an interesting thing, but you're right. It's a traditional model, and you still have that too. It's very profitable to do it the same way and just increase the speed and pace until it changes too much. I hope that makes sense. Thank you for the question. Now with this, we come to impact on organizational change. And here you can, so this is the Livet model. So he looked really at the 4 interacting variables. A change that affects anyone will, one will be, interact with other, creating a knock-on effect. And he looked basically at the notion of task, people, technology, and structure. And if you break that down, change the task or the purpose of the organization and the competencies of people, technology, the process will accomplish the task. So technology can be as well a technique, how you form something with a hand. So if you know, for example, old crafts, for example, if you're after really nice shoes, there's nothing better than tailored shoes to your foot. And actually, you can get that incredibly cheap if you travel around into villages where this is the standard. So I can recommend, for example, Morocco Tanga. So if you want to have a little bit sorry, this was a but anyway, it's kind of close. But they make still in the old way. It's handcrafted, and they haven't automated yet. The other end of the scale is probably Nike or Adidas. Although there is as well a handmade element, but they have automated it completely. So here you have actually machines that have kind of replaced the techniques of the fabrication that the shoemaker, no, what is it, is it cobbler? Cobbler work. I was just fishing here for the English word, but so it's basically using by hand. So this changes, and structures as well, communication, maybe power, reporting systems can be used as well that way. But by power, who's the decision maker, for example, or do you just let the person that does the task roll on and make their own decisions? Is this well a possibility? Things like that. And that has, of course, as well a knock-on effect. And this is basically how you can kind of follow as a model through what has to change. So you have now a change, it's happening, then you can kind of look at those aspects and analyze how it may impact. And then work with your team members, what is a good way, what do they prefer? Technology enhancement, there are some that like it, some that don't like it. So you, as an example, so you have to find a way then to integrate it. Maybe they don't want it. So there are possibilities to look at this. Now this has as well the knock-on effect elsewhere. Understanding the complexity of the organizational network is the first step in anticipating the likely response to any applied trigger. So you can, if you are analytically using this, You can use that model and basically map out on one side of the actual tasks that you actually use for producing a product or service, or your work breakdown structure. You could use that for that. And then you could look at it at the people level, the structure, how you have aligned the people, and what technologies, machines, equipment they may use. And then you have a full picture. That is back to the system idea. Now, we had the knock-on effect already. So this is quite a powerful thing for us, actually. So some triggers for change. Well, the classic one where you achieve failure, or customer demand. This is particularly bad. So we have a lot of new systems in our university at the moment, and then people like me are terrible. So I have so many demands, and I tell them as well what I don't want to hear, and that I don't want to hear how they have set up their processes. I just want the product. This may be customer demands, and then needs and expectations as well of the stakeholders. This is very important, of course, to recognize. Then technology innovation, regulations, competition, change in the market venture, expansion, response to the economy, maybe to save money, cut costs, potentially. What was a big agenda in the past? Political legitimization. This is an interesting one. This can be as well in our little team. So something cannot be politically legitimate for everybody on our table. So you may decide that it's a good idea that you, after each meeting, you put music on and as a binding experience dance a little bit around the table. I think it's a great idea, but not everybody may think that is legitimate. You may have a team member that feels alienated, like I don't like dancing. So then you're in trouble. You get it. I hope. So political legitimization can happen as well at your kind of team level. You have to find a way of integrating this. And then sustainability trends. I'm concerned that it's trends. It should just be sustainability. It suggests that that's a fashion. Okay, never mind. Improves the standard of living and industry changes. Improves the standard of living gets really creepy in the future. But because medicine can be internalized soon with robotics. This is exciting, isn't it? But okay, so you get the idea that there's a lot to come, and that it basically is all a trigger for change where we probably have to change how we are doing things. Now, Tichy identified 4 main triggers for change on the conceptual level, so breaking it basically down to our pestle idea. So environment, shifts in the economy, competitive pressures, legislative changes. So as a region or a nation or maybe even as a continent, we decide that we shouldn't do something. Then we have as well business relationships, acquisitions, maybe a partner. Why did I put that? So any kind of business relationship, partnerships, new alliances, as well as supply chain relationships, maybe just contractual, the most basic one. Then technology, again, as our brand sign. So this can be anything, like how we do something, or we may figure out a new art way of doing it. So, for example, at the moment I think in Newcastle, very popular microbreweries. It's not automated so much anymore. It's really somebody doing it. That actually kind of opens. You have basically to do certain chemical processes in the right time. And if you do it on a mass scale, it's bad timing. So if you do it alone, that means you have to get up in the night. So, but a few microbreweries really kind of pride themselves with it, that they're doing it still manually. And that is how you get then a different taste of whatever you're brewing. So technology doesn't always have to be like more technology, more automation. You may see value in doing it handcrafted. We had as well the shoe, as an example. As well, if you want a good racing car, you buy custom. No, okay, I shouldn't go there. But so there's as well the handmade is still outperforming manufactured. And we had it with the dress. You remember the little black dress haute couture for going out.
It's hand embroidered as a
yes, hand embroidered. So sometimes this can so technology is not always like robotics and automation like that. So that's oversimplified now. Okay, so then we have as well people, new employees with different cultural background. Different cultural background can be as well that we have worked in an organization, and now one of our children wants to join too. This may be as well new to the culture. So this has nothing to do with nations necessarily. This is just not used to the organizational culture. Does that make sense? Yeah. So particularly apparent in new leadership. This is when it gets interesting, especially if you have confronting styles. Yeah, that is where it gets really fun. Did you want 10 minutes break, or should we push on?
I think so.
Break? Okay, we have a strong plea for break. Okay, break it is. Oh, wait, I have to go again this way. So it's here, and then we mark this, and okay. Now, we had Tichy already, yeah. So again, there was the environment, business, relationships, technology, and people. Now, Kanter and Stein and Yick, amazing name combination, had already kind of broken it down. So in environment, they kind of agreed with Tichy, so they didn't really manipulate it a lot around that. But they pointed out that there is actually a significance in life cycle differences. And this is as well very meaningful to our projects. So changes in our divisions due to different rates of maturity. Now, what do they mean by that? Well, the basis was really kind of the idea that you may have a technology potential that allows you to adapt a lot quicker to changes. Yeah? And they kind of came up with a dichotomy. Wait a minute, where's my dichotomy? That is just a political example. Now, a very simple example. So life cycle differences. If you look at the mobiles, yeah, we have very often like incremental changes every year, probably. Yeah. But the major changes happen probably in the mobile industry only every 10 years. You may remember the wonderful old Nokia that had like the slit frame. I think it was called the banana or something like that. No? Maybe just in Germany. Okay, that didn't translate. Forget about it. So we had a mobile that, if you have seen The Matrix, this is what he uses. He makes that. It opens up and then he speaks, and didn't really work like that. It just opened up and you had to dial them. But okay, that was still with dialing. Yeah, and now the mobiles, it's not just dialing. You can speak to it, and it has all kinds of infrastructure on it. Before it was just a phone. So this is kind of the idea of life cycle differences. Then we have as well political power changes inside the organization. So here are power struggles between individual groups and stakeholders to gain benefits from. Now here you may associate that really as a political dilemma, but let me give an example. So a shift in strategy from being production-oriented to service-oriented, as with Oticon. So Oticon is actually quite a popular company, and I think you will have a case scenario with Moses either this week or maybe next week with Michel. I don't know yet. But they basically went for a service-oriented company and would accompanied by the shift by power balance between those two functions. So before it was really product-driven, and with a product-driven company, you have often admiration in like finishing and technology overemphasis. And you may have like a customer base where you pilot it, but you may not involve them too much. Now, when you kind of look after the service, it creates a very different dynamic. You are accountable for your product, and you're looking as well, running kind of the service for them as good as possible. So this may have other implications for you, how you want to run that. Now, as with Oticon, this brought tension in and resistance, as it was thought that the production element of organization was being pushed to the back, and that services, sales, and marketing were very much at the front end of the organization, and hence the indicators that you get as well in the products are very much driven towards the market, towards sales, and as well service orientation. Is this easy to service, or is it too complicated? So you look actually at a very different interface there. I hope that makes sense. Now with this, you can then go as well into kind of the pest analysis that I was already, pest factors organizational change. So here again referring to political factors. So, I tricks myself here on the slides. So here you have governmental legislation, governmental ideology, international law, as well. When it comes to things like governmental ideology and legislation, as a joke, as a project manager, you can see that always as a way that you have agreed as a society, or where your project is based, as a way of bullying each other. Yeah, so you will often recognize it if you're not from the ideologic system. You think, hey, this is not fair. But this is often how it has been agreed. So you, if your project is performing there, you may try to be better with your project team, but be aware this is then probably nationally agreed or regionally. Then we have as well international law, universal rights, human rights, things like that, which may not be obeyed in all places. Then wars can be as well a factor, local regulations, taxation, trade union activities, and there are many more actually, to be fair. But it gives you a good starting point. Then you have as well the technology factors. Here you have information technology, the internet, how you use it, how you integrate, how you protect yourself against it as well. So especially privacy. So it's very cool to kind of be an employee and go online and figure out how much you're earning and how much tax you're paying. But it gets actually worrying if you can just ask a friend to Google it and find this information too, if you don't want it. And in some companies, they do actually want it. So it's interesting. Then new production processes, computerization of processes. Now the new themes as well, digitalization. So you may have heard of that, digitalizing an industry. So factories are automated, that you can book capacities. This is very cool stuff. You have that already in pretty much all industry in like specialist sectors. So if you want to, for example, with the Crossrail project, if you want to build a tunnel, there are really just like 3 authentic companies that can do this. And one is, so it's kind of divided between Germany, France, and Japan. They kind of have serious machines there. And they don't care where you're going. You can go as well through a volcano. Well, one can go through a volcano. But so this was cool, right? Anyway, but there you can book capacities. So you kind of book it, and you say your time frame, and then you can kind of block it in that company. So this is kind of digitalization. A step further, you have that as well in manufacturing. So bottling of liquids. If you have apple trees and you want to bottle, you can buy capacities in a bottling company. And this is just an email. Or actually with PepsiCo, you can even like kind of just book it on the internet, but you have to be on the internet. But this is like changes that you have. Changes in transport technology, well, you know this probably already. When you want to like buy this wonderful new book on Amazon, Robert's reading suggestion, and you hammer it in, you can follow it. In the post office has just been sent off. It's now on the road between distribution center in Norwich to somewhere Leeds, and then you know when your book arrives. So this is the idea. So it gives you as a customer control, or awareness. Then economic factors, competitors, suppliers, currency exchange rates. What wonderful thing. But by the way, especially with open politics, like at the moment with European Union, where they kind of say that they will lower the euro to save Greece. This is when you should buy currency, because it's a fixed deal. Actually, you didn't hear this from me, but in Germany we have a lot of experience when East Germany and West Germany came together. 2 currency, before it was 1:8, and then to have social equality, they lived at 1:1. Now what did all the West Berliners do? They ran over and bought East German currency. Okay, I heard. Apparently people did this. But this is just somebody giving you more money. But anyway, so then we have as well employment rate, wage rates, government economic policies, so there may be special conditions where you have to recruit, things like that, and other countries' economic policies, lending policies of financial institutions, and changes from public to private ownership. And then social cultural factors as well, demographic trends, customer and employees. In Europe we have a terrible thing. People don't want to have children anymore. I don't know why. It has been heartbreaking, the statistic in the first place. First it was 2.4, now it's 1.4. That does make no sense to me whatsoever. Yeah? Who has that 0.4 child? That is a question for me. No, I'm just joking. It's not, if you have less than 2 children, yeah, then the number of the population is not stable. It's going down, right? Because 2 people have children. That doesn't make sense. Yeah? So if you are under that, a population is dying out. Yeah? And not because this is just over age. This is a gradual process, and that is dangerous. Or it's not dangerous, but it means that there will be issues because you have it's just how our society is. Yeah? So anyway, lifestyle changes. Skills availability is an interesting one. Yeah? So this is as well one of my talk factors that I tried to kind of point out. So if there's a skills shortage in a project and you try to recruit it, then the guy you try to recruit, he has hundreds of requests. He can kind of finger pick. He's like, oh, no, you look nice, and the price, give me 20% more. I think then it's interesting. And I have a look when my calendar allows me to come. So you are in a weak position to negotiate. And often you see that statistically wages increase. Yeah? And we have that a lot with specialists. Yeah? So a lot of specialists earn at the moment more than professionals. You too, as a project manager, at the moment, very demanded, especially on the level of 2 years to 7-year experience. So after you finish, work quickly 2 years in industry, then you can, you didn't hear that from me, but you can ask for increased pay, all I'm saying. Yeah? So it's a win-win situation. So there's a shortage of project managers at the moment. As well, attitudes to work and employment. So I told you already what may go wrong. Attitudes to minority groups, political behaviors may be unacceptable. So there are certain beliefs that you may express that make you legitimate to be fired. So this can be as well the case. Gender issues. So in some countries there's maybe positive reinforcement, maybe as well the other way, positive discrimination. That's as well a possibility. Willingness and ability to move. So especially with the bigger ones, with companies, it's very likely they ask you, you did a great job here in England, can you do the next project for us in Australia? And you've just started your family, child is just in the kindergarten, just made friends, took him so long, and now it's Australia. No! So here you get that. Then concern for the environment again, and business ethics as well. Yeah? Do we do the right thing? Actually, business ethics is quite harsh because this business ethics just means you are discussing it ethically. But okay, never mind, we don't go into detail there. So we have as well, here it works. We have as well internal triggers for change. Again, this is a run-through. So new chief executive or other senior managers that have different preferences or vision, a revision of administrative structure, then the redesign of a group of jobs, a redesign of a factory office layout. My favorite one, before you all had individual cubicles, you were alone, you couldn't speak to anybody without opening the door, open the other door, and then talking to the person. And then suddenly they have removed all the walls, and it's open plant. What happens now?
We use emails.
Oh, I like it. You use increased email. Is that true?
This is our company.
Yeah, so this may be a factor. Yeah? I thought people would just shout at each other or like, "Hey, how is it going?" That's before anybody does work. But this is more discipline, probably. Yeah. So
everything's emailed. You'll be sitting opposite someone, and it's like they'll send you an email to ask you something rather than just talk to us.
Yeah. I've just come from being in an office on my own for 10 years to an open plan, and it's hard.
So what is hard for you?
The noise. And I'm the only one who's working on my side of things, so they often sit around together discussing things that have got nothing to do with me, and I just want to go away and talk somewhere else. but there's a lot of banter, and it's weird because there's two groups of people. There's projects at one end, and then there's the maintenance team at the other. And the maintenance team have created a little a wall around themselves, so you can't see anything out from this area. They've put like cupboards up and things, so they've created like a little.
So they have reinstalled a wall in the
but the
open plan.
projects are very open plan, and they all can talk and discuss. It's strange.
Okay, all I'm saying that room distribution creates dynamics. Some may be intended, some may not.
But sometimes people shout over the cupboards and filing cabinets and things, and.
But it's not yet that plants are thrown over the wall, things like that. Yeah.
It's a bit like that. It's weird.
Okay, so this is a start from this is where it gets dangerous. But okay, yeah. So interesting dynamics. Yeah, and so open office, has its purpose, especially if you want to negotiate something together. But it helps to have your individual space as well, where you can work. So you may have to create it with earphones and like sunshades or something like that, or a sign on that I'm working, or something like that. There are different ways of dealing with it. So it's quite interesting. Then we have as well purchase of new IT equipment. Now this makes sense as well. Like when we got in our office, we got all Apple, and then I went a long way with Samsung. But okay, it was as well like, look at all this technology. Let me email you. And he was just standing there. And, did you get it? No. What was it? And so but it was exciting. You want to try it out, the new equipment. That
was something else that we've got. We've had this system called the Link. It's part of Microsoft Outlook, I think it is. And the reason they got it put in was obviously to see whether you were available or whatever. And hang on, we're sitting in the same room. We can see whether someone's available. We don't need something on the screen to tell us. So they obviously invested money
into that. You might be available. You might be at your desk, but you might be working on something that you've got a time scale for, and you've got to get on with it. You put in your calendar busy then, don't you? I guess, and don't put a title in. One thing I've noticed, you can't have a private conversation. So if your phone rings, I'll go and stand in a cupboard. And even when I'm in a cupboard, sometimes people come in and go, I'm in here in the cupboard, having a personal phone call. It's awful, because I just had my own office and it was just great. And I could just do my own thing. Now it's, because I don't want other people knowing anything personal about it, you know what I mean? Yeah, it's weird.
Okay,
I spend a lot of time in the cupboard.
Okay. But those are the conflicts. You are spot on.
It's useful. The whole point is that you pick up on jobs that are going on and you find out things. But at the other side of it, if you don't want other people to know what you're doing, you have to go somewhere else. So you can't have that. Sometimes I make a phone call and I've got this young guy opposite and he's very keen, but he's got an opinion about everything. And so if I want to make a certain phone call, I have to go and stand in this clubhouse. Because I think I don't want your opinion on this. I just want to make this phone call, so it's hard. I don't know if I like it, to be honest.
Okay, but this is kind of boundaries, and we all need them, and in teams this is a similar thing. So, and that sounds, if this is your only format, how you are working, it's very confrontational. And I would start looking if there's a terrace that you can go to or something like that, because toilet is normally as well terrifying. It's where everybody needs their private calls and people are desperate to go to toilet too. Can you finish your call? It's really.
This is digressing, but I was once on the loo in a toilet and a lady came in who couldn't obviously talk in our office, and she was talking to somebody, and I was desperate to go, so I thought, oh, the hell, it's a toilet, I'm going to have a wee. And she actually said, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to leave. There's somebody making some noise. And I thought, it's a bloody toilet. Get outside if you want to make a phone call.
Yes.
Can you believe that?
Yeah.
I was like,
okay.
Sorry.
So you see limitations. Very, very good example. Thank you. But I'm sorry to hear that. So it's a edging topic. So and with this you get the dynamics. New marketing strategy. We had that too. It still tickles me when they thought that I cannot say short sentences, as you may have noticed. I think complicated, there's no doubt. I tried to kind of string it in a normal sentence. At some point I was advised from our marketing team that I would be a very good employee to use Twitter. And all I'm saying is I tried it for 1 year, and I don't get it with one tweet. I have two, they're disconnected, people get confused, they don't know which order it was. It's terrible. Half of the communication is about like explaining.
So you can't get it all into one tweet.
Yes, it's complicated. It's yeah, especially if you want to give it a full idea. Tweeting didn't work for me.
You weren't like uploading your research papers.
No. I was just stating my new paper was just published, and then the acronyms, nobody knew what the acronyms are for. And so but it's important. You should read it. So many questions, you know.
It's more of a female thing now, where women tend to write long texts and things. And I'll do a big long text, because women just go yes or no. Well, give us a bit of conversation, but that's all I get, yes and no. I don't get anything, just yes and no.
Yeah, but be careful. Marketing has often like a good intent behind it. For some it works, for some not. Yeah, I'm still training, but I'm still not at the tweeting level. Kind of getting to LinkedIn and stuff like that. So I'm getting there. It's a slow process for me, sadly. Then we had as well cut in overtime working. What does that mean? Cut in overtime working, isn't that wonderful?
Don't you people rely on it? Overtime? Yeah, you do. A lot of people rely on that overtime.
So what does that mean?
It would be a negative, I think.
A cut in overtime. Tell me why.
So the reduction of the necessity to work additional hours, the contracted hours.
Yeah, so the idea is you have again a healthy life-work balance. So you just work the 37 hours, 0.5 that you're contracted to do. You should work overtime. What's the problem? I don't get it.
It's not for me, but it is for a lot of people I work with.
So what does the cut mean?
Reduction?
Less money.
Less money.
Yeah, you don't get paid the bonus money on top for extra hours. And as you're saying, yeah, some people really speculate on that money because otherwise the job is not worthwhile, like to basically bring the income that they want to consume and live. Then staff redundancies is another one. So here you get quite grim, and then I have as well strengthening of specific departments such as research and development is another one, which you then notice that previously planned strategic budgets are suddenly negotiated when you have to pay again for things. So this is a bad sign, I can tell you that. Especially if the head of the department wants to speak to you. Very unrelated to any former conversations. Okay. Now then we have as well the organizational system in multidimensional environments. So you can put the two models together. You remember the bubbles? Well, I'll show you. Here we go. So we have that, yeah, and the environment was here, and that broken down. I should probably just read you through it because that will get really messy, I think. Oh no, it isn't actually. Oh, I've done it properly. Okay, so here you have again the different influences that kind of stand on one side on the external environment. Then you have the time component, yeah, and then you have as well. Oh, no, okay. This is where it gets now slightly messy. You have the. Oh, you don't have the overlap. I wanted to show actually how the outputs work as well. But you basically get it. So you have the political and legal influences that we discussed, the economic influences, then we have the external environment as well, technology and social cultural influences. And then you have the organization. Here we have the formal systems, then the informal systems, which then kind of give you the internal environment as well. Yeah? And that is of course constructed over time. And then you have our organizational system with multi-dimensional environments that you can map out for. Yeah? So if you do that, then you are actually pretty well prepared. And then you will see you are not often surprised if changes come because you can often predict it a long way before. Indicators are quite powerful as well. Shall I give you a controversial example? Maybe not, but we have an example later on. That should be fun as well. Now, let's have a quick recap on that as well. So, organizations and projects operate in multiple environments. that impact on organizational and project life, the key to is to achieve external adaptation and internal integration. So once again, if the environment like shifts and your product or service is impacted, you have to adapt and react to it. Yeah. So similar as well on internal matters. If you notice that your team like is really upset about cultural dynamics, then it is maybe worthwhile to think about shifting it. The controversial example is some of our students used to work for Eurocopter. They do helicopters, but they're as well associated with doing kind of military helicopters. So they basically just work on the helicopter interface. But due to the commitment of certain wars, the French public was particularly opposed to the conflict, and it meant that those helicopter engineers were suddenly mocked for building war weapons. Yeah? And this was so bad that you had a lot of engineers that resigned actually from the companies. They were super technicians and built wonderful helicopters. They built as well the rescue helicopters, you name it. But that they didn't want to be associated with it. And in the end, the project manager decided to actually pull the development project for that particular concept. In the end, it was then deferred to another company from the same group that basically built it anyway, but it was healthy to do for the project manager, so to keep the team on board. But sadly, the governmental contracts still had to be completed, and then there were other pressures. Then you have as well organizations and projects need to be anticipative. Anticipate opportunities and threats, react with knowledge. Now this is again the risk assessment a little bit as well. So if you filter for your environmental factors, you come up with risks, but as well opportunities. So you account, of course, in your projects for the risk, the riskiness. So this means you may have like additional money or resources. But if you see you have managed the risk and you may be beyond the risk point, then you have as well an opportunity to repay the money. Maybe to the client, maybe you have done arrangements to reward the team for being so good. So that is as well a sore spot. Or you can as well negotiate that because you're such a good project manager, you can pay out part of the opportunity cost to you, something like that. Then we have as well the understanding more fully how the formal aspects of organizational life responds to pressures from the internal, external, and temporal environments. That is how changes leverage through strategy, structure, and operational processes. And there are as well pressures that you may want to take off of employees, which companies or project teams can serve as well for. Okay. Here would be the official point of the pause actually, but we push then on with the nature of change. Let's have a little bit a look then at what changes we may encounter and what the nature is of the change. Now change comes in many shapes and forms, and the impact that it will have on organization will determined by the types of change that it experiences. Change is multifunctional, magnifies itself differently at different levels of the organization and its various functions. Do I want to add this already? We have a picture on the next one to give you the idea that is where I iterated a little bit. Burns famously quoted, it claimed over 60% of all change projects are considered to fail. Not surprisingly, therefore, there's also much debate about which approach to change is best. We have now a little bit better statistics because we consider other elements as well as change. But we still struggle very much with the notions of change because our models are very simple. So this is basically the one that I'm introducing now to you. So we have kind of rate of change in relation to time, and the simple models differ here in three different categories. One is discontinuous, so it's a one-off, as you can see. So we did something and then it's suddenly different. Another dichotomy looks at transformative change, but transformation. Then you have as well the rate of change, so smooth, incremental, is maybe a continuous way of changing. So this is, we are still using mobiles, and it still has roughly the same shape as well like mine, but it's slightly different to the one that we had 2 years ago. So, but it's a slight change. Then you have the bumpy incremental, so this is maybe responses. So this can be as well political. So one party just got their way, and now they are like, oh, this is terrible. So once they have enough momentum, they turn it back. Now this is when you are in an interesting dynamic. So just to give you a few examples here. Discontinuous market by rapid shift in either strategic, structure or culture of all three, triggered by major internal problems or by a considerate external shock, one-time event often, single abrupt shift from the past. So this for projects that can be as well quite traumatizing. You can maybe even lose your project. Advocates see it as cost-effective, as it does not promote never-ending process of costly change initiatives. It creates less turmoil caused by continuous change. So, in other words, if you stick to your way of doing things, you get used to it, you get good at it, and then if it hits you, you basically readjust and you go again for it, as long as it lasts. But it can be as well a very dangerous approach, because if it hits you normally properly. So the benefit, there is a consensus that benefits from discontinuous change do not last, and that this approach promotes defensive behavior, complacency, inward focus, and routines, which again creates situations where major reform is frequently required. So this is another issue. If you leave everybody pottering on and you just wait for the conflict point, then it's basically conflict for everybody. And you have to change this for everybody, so it becomes extremely unfamiliar. So people become really alienated because everything changes. Now, smooth incremental is the line here. Evolves slowly in the systematic and predictable way at a constant rate. However, it is rare in current environment and in the future. So, in other words, it may not actually cater diligently for the reality around you. So, there are many examples of that. Then we have as well bumpy incremental, so periods of relative peacefulness punctuated by acceleration and pace of change. So this is then this one, and you have as well your effects with it. So let's have a closer look at that, and the hybrids as well. Oh no, I pressed the wrong button. Okay, so more recent models have kind of integrated hybrids. So Totem has really kind of looked at interpretations and perception of change, and followed it as well through to a degree to actually match the different settings of this. And he kind of looked at this in a discontinuous way. Here, rapid change, one big change, total restructure of the organization, flattening of organizational structure, for example, is a typical example. So we have to be more responsive. Then incremental was the slow, steady, strategic step change for an organization. And then you had bumpy incremental, relatively smooth change with areas of acceleration of pace, operational change. Then we had continuous, slow change at department level, doing better what already has been done. And then bumpy continuous, so those are kind of the hybrids again, relatively smooth change with area of acceleration pace or organization's wide strategic change, reflecting an ability to change continuously and react to change in the external environment and when they occur. And there were certain benefits associated with this, managerial kind of change characteristics by scale. So here we had the Dunphy and Staines, and later on Senior and Fleming that really looked into that. So here kind of looking at the managerial interface as fine-tuning, changes as an ongoing process. So here you have refining policies, methods, procedures. Then scale 2 is the incremental adjustment. Here you have kind of expanding sales territory, for example. Yeah, then where's my 3 and 4? Here. And then you have the modular transformation. Here you have kind of major restructuring or particular departments division. Yeah. So this is as well where you may look at in the simulation changes in key executives and managerial appointment in these areas, introduction of significantly new processes and technologies affecting key departments divisions. And so this is normally quite radical. And then we have as well type 4, corporate transformation. This is reformed organizational mission and core values, altered power and status affecting the distribution of power in organization. Yeah? So this is actually very major, and that has often as well respective implications. Now, am I going for Kanter's model? I think we can leave it with that actually for today, that I don't do too much. Just to explain it now, I would kind of relate it back to the models that we already had, yeah, and link it back to the overview that I gave you. Yeah, but you have the slides, and you have as well the recording from Michel. So Michel will talk for another 10 to 15 minutes. Then you have the full slides. Yeah.
Is that from lectures last year?
Yes, I hope so. She should just take off where I left it, yeah, for another 10 minutes. But it's basically linking it back to the theoretical models, because she had in the last year only 10 sessions, whereas we have 12. So basically, I kind of use the front end to kind of explain all the theories, what tools and analytical techniques are available. Yeah. So you will see that will just relate back to some of the tools for this particular example. Yeah. And any questions so far? Okay, I hope you are all sort of inspired now, but let me cut off the video.
Do you know, to